So that is practice Thursday done, not practice Friday. Practice Thursday is done now. Both practice 1 and practice 2 have been completed, but yet again we have another race weekend mulled by off-track actions yet again of Christian Horner. It's the same conversation again and again and again. If you want to hear my take on the latest news relating to the accuser being suspended, then make sure you check out the video that I posted previous to this. It's all about that. I give my full opinion on why I think the process is flawed and things like that. But let's take a proper look at the on-track action. We saw practice 1 this morning. Max Verstappen, obviously, what a surprise. Blows everybody away. In practice 2, we've had Fernando Alonso take P1, but yet again, I think it's going to be another Red Bull whitewash. I don't think there's much that we can really put out into the world to sort of change that. Hopefully, in the next few weeks, in the next few races, hopefully that gap can close up, although I don't particularly think it's very likely. We saw at the weekend in Bahrain that. So before we get into this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below or in this top corner here to stay subscribed to the channel for all my latest Formula 1 and football content. I try to keep up to date with all the latest news and race stuff. Obviously, there's not a great deal to talk about there as we get into in this video, but make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for all of that, and I'll catch you at the end of the video. They've just got a much superior package to everybody else, and why everybody else is still struggling, sort of finding their way, Red Bull are 3 years development deep. But one thing that I do have to talk about is this common conversation about Red Bull concept change, blah, 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 all this jazz. And I'm like, I'm really sorry, but their concept hasn't changed. Adrian Newey has even dispelled this claim from Sky Sports that the concept hasn't changed. Nothing has really changed. It just looks a little bit different. And for me, it's just becoming a bit of a joke. Like, at the end of the day, how can Sky Sports keep pushing this when people with inside Red Bull are saying that it's not the case? And another thing that is absolutely grinding my gears at the moment is Sky Sports keep reporting that when they're talking about the Horner case, that he was cleared of any wrongdoing. Now, from the statement I read from Red Bull, what was published in the media, at no point has he ever been cleared of any wrongdoing. From what I have seen, the case was dismissed. Case, investigation, whatever you want to call it, was dismissed, but he was never cleared of wrongdoing. He was never deemed innocent. He was never found not guilty. He wasn't found guilty either. But that's mega important in these conversations regarding that situation. And it really, really annoys me that you've got like a big platform like Sky Sports that aren't being accurate with what they're delivering to their customers. And it costs a heck of a lot of money to have Sky Sports. And when you're not getting accurate representations of what's really going on, when now we've always spoke about the lack of transparency within the FIA, and now it's leaking into the Formula 1 teams, especially with Red Bull, and now Sky aren't giving us the transparency. It doesn't surprise me because of previous situations that we've spoke about with Abu Dhabi 21 and things like that. You look at the race fixing incident that's currently being investigated. That's allegedly going to take 6 weeks to solve, to sort out. It's like we just need some more transparency in the sport. There's not really a great deal of on-track action to talk about. Lewis Hamilton lost power briefly during free practice 2, but he was able to go out a little bit later in the session and take the practice start. Lance Stroll, I think he had a clip-in with the wall, if I remember rightly. So that's all going off, but the Aston Martins look a lot quicker this weekend. The Ferraris, again, are up there. George Russell's in and around it. Lewis Hamilton didn't quite get a lap together in free practice 2. And he never really got a solid lap together in free practice 1 either. So that's a further conversation. Is there going to be anyone in that battle for pole position with Max Verstappen? For me, the only person who's really got a proper chance is probably Sergio Perez or Charles Leclerc. Not even that I think the Ferrari is faster. I just think he's one of the drivers that will put it on the edge. So yeah, in Formula 2, Prema have made a proper return. and he put Oliver Bearman put it on pole position. Kimi Antonelli, I believe it's his first time on a street circuit. He put it into, I think it was P6 in the end. Kushmini repaired the damage from the previous week of his disqualification, and he put it into P2. Bearman and Miney seemed in a world of their own in qualifying. F1 Academy qualifying hasn't yet happened as I'm recording this. Formula 1 practice was delayed, so I just want to get this video out for you guys so you can hear my opinions. You can obviously give your own down in the comments. Don't forget to do that. I'm really interested to hear what you have to say, whether it be about Christian Horner's case or whether it be about the on-track action. I'm always here for a discussion. And if you want me to make any specific videos, let me know down in the comments. But I think something that's missing within Formula 1, and it's less to do with this weekend and it's more to do with the sport as a whole, is there's a big lack of transparency at the moment. We're seeing it right now with the Red Bull Christian Horner saga. Now, granted, it's a Red Bull matter, but it's spread into the public eye, and from what I am seeing personally, in the court of public opinion, Red Bull are like nosediving, and they've got HR people, they've got PR departments who are supposed to solve these situations and put stuff out to sort of clear the air so that everyone sort of has an idea of what's going off. Now, I'm not expecting 12-page reports on what happened in the investigation, but there's got to be some sort of, we're clearing Horner's name, or this is why we've suspended this person. But all they've given us is a brief one line of she's been suspended with full pay because she was dishonest. Now, dishonesty comes in a lot of matters. I'm 27. That's me being dishonest. I'm not 27 at all. Do you see what I mean? And it's just too brief. There's not enough for us to talk about or to have a proper say or idea of the situation. Now, I don't think that I do agree with people when it says not everything needs to be out in the open, but it's already out in the open, and it's now a case of who's going to take the fall, who's going to actually put something out there to either clear Red Bull or clear the accuser and things like that. You've got the investigation into the potential race fixing from Saudi Arabia last year with the FIA president and vice president. That's, again, massive. And do I think there's going to be full transparency with that? No. You look at the Michael Massey situation from 2021. Now, in my personal opinion, he was just a fall guy. I think he was told to do what to do by someone upstairs, because you might not know this as Formula 1 fans, because not everybody does, but in the where the race director is and those people reviewing stuff, though, that is recorded. The conversation, they're mic'd up, it's all recorded, so that they can assess things to improve processes. Now, for me, if Abu Dhabi was a straight shooting mistake, then they could have released that to the public. It'd have cleared Michael Massey. It'd have made everything so much easier. But I think it was clear as day when that wasn't released that there was a problem, for me personally anyway. And then you look at the race fixing scandal right now. Now, it's simple for me. Did they try and interfere with the race result? If the answer is yes, then everyone involved has to go. If it's a no, then it's an open and shut case. So for me, it's one of those situations, yet again, where it could be dealt with in a matter of days. But again, it probably won't be dealt with until after Australia, maybe even China. Is it China round 4, I think, middle of April? So again, a lack of transparency, and it's things like that that just really grind my gears. And there's not really a great deal of on-track action to talk about. I started this YouTube channel to talk about football, to talk about Formula 1, with the hopes of being able to talk about on-track action, but it seems like all I've done so far this year is talk about what's going off on track. And I know people say, well, you choose what to post and blah, 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 but I'm talking about Formula 1. I want to talk about Formula 1, and this is what's going on. This is what there is to talk about. There's not much to talk about in practice. If I look through the timing board here, there's not really many shocks. There's Pierre Gasly in P9, but that's not really a shock because Alpine are known to chuck on low fuel. But no doubt they'll probably be much further down. Like Ocon's in 15th. Obviously, Ricciardo's in 19th on the timing board from practice 2. But again, oh yeah, you've got the impeding incident. Lewis Hamilton was getting out of the way of Carlos Sainz, and then Carlos Sainz was getting out of the way of Logan Sargent, and then Logan Sargent nearly goes into the back of Lewis Hamilton. And it's like, this is a track where it's hard to get out of the way of people, and it must be difficult for these drivers when they're fully sending it at full speed into some of these really quick left, right, like S's type corners, and you just don't know what's behind the apex. And with the way they're sitting, sometimes they can't see it until they're right on top of them, and it's like a quick jolt. And like, I don't really know what they're supposed to do about impeding. For me, they just need to set a maximum minimum lap time. I think Karun Chanduk spoke about it in the coverage of practice 2 not long after the Hamilton incident. And for me, it's one of those situations where I kind of agree. Like, if you had those, I'm complete honesty, I don't know if it's minimum or maximum. I'd probably say maximum, innit? You've got to get round in a certain maximum. Say I think the laps are 1 minute 28 fastest with Fernando Alonso, 1 minute 28.8. So if you put the slowest you could go is, say, a 150, maybe 155, because you don't want them to ruin their tyres on the outlap. But if you went 150, 155, then they have to go a certain speed through certain sectors, and it stops everybody bunching up. Now, they have started bunching up at the end of the pit lane instead of on the final corner or what have you, but then you're causing danger in the pit lane, and people are getting frustrated in the pit lane. Like, you looked at Max Verstappen from, was it Brazil last year, and he overtakes everybody and goes out. He did it in Singapore, he stopped in the pit lane, and it's things like this that realistically, the whole sport just needs changing. It is a right mess at the minute. The Concord Agreement is up. I believe it's the end of next season for 2025. And I tell you something, at this current moment, it would not surprise me if Formula One walked away from the Concord Agreement and went and made their own series. It would leave essentially Liberty Media with a shell company of Formula One, because it'd have to be something completely different, because Liberty Media own all the rights and everything. Would Liberty Media follow? It's a bit shit at the minute, really, isn't it? Formula One is just a bit shit at the minute. There's no competitiveness at the front end of the grid. We always get the argument of quali's tight, but then in the race you've got a driver out front that's 20 seconds up the road that is probably driving half the pace of the car. And it's really, really disappointing to see. Like, we came into this new regulation set off the back of 2021 thinking, brilliant, we're going to have some amazing racers, better opportunities for overtaking. Everyone's going to essentially have chance to win. And then boom, absolutely nothing. The first 3 or 4 races I thought of 2022, I think it was really close between Leclerc and Verstappen on many occasions. Obviously, Bahrain, Red Bull had the double DNF. Leclerc had a couple of early DNFs, and it was like the start was really good. But then as the season went on in 2022, it just went backwards. And we're now into 2024, and everyone just seems further and further away, and no one can get anywhere near them. Now, I'm hoping that tomorrow in qualifying that this will all change. I'd love to give some predictions, but the only thing that I can essentially say for certain is Max Verstappen should be on the front row. Sergio Perez has to be in the top 5. And I do get the vibe that we might see a top 10 of both Red Bulls, both Ferraris, both Mercedes drivers, and both Aston Martins. Did I say McLarens? Yeah, the McLarens, Astons, Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull. That's what I think the top 10 is going to be. Obviously, you've got Hülkenberg in the hat who can make mega laps out of nowhere, but it would just be nice for Formula One to be competitive. you look at the Formula 2 grid, and now I'm not saying it should be a spec series, but even Formula 2 is a spec series. You had Zane Maloney last week, took a double win and looked dominant in expert fashion. I did a video about him the other day. Make sure you go and check that out. And like now, I think he qualified in P16. And I'm not saying that Formula 1 should become a spec series, because then you'd sort of ruin the point of having constructors. What's the point of having a Mercedes, a Ferrari, if everyone's going to be running the same car? So, I don't know. I just don't know. It's not great at the minute. Hopefully it changes as the season goes on, because 2026 is quite long away. It's another 18 months. 18 months, yeah, we're on March. 18 months essentially before the 2026 season kicks off. And realistically, the only thing that I'm excited for over the next 12 to 18 months is Lewis Hamilton going to Ferrari. What's going to happen with the second Mercedes seat? It's not really on-track action. It'd be brilliant to see the grid close up, because that would change my entire mindset around this season. But I just can't see it happening, if I'm completely honest. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments of the 2 practice sessions. Do you think it's going to be a bit closer this weekend? Obviously, I hope it is. And make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. We're trying to hit 300 by April, and you know that you can help out with that. So hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next video. Make sure to go and find me on TikTok, pictured here, and Twitter, pictured here. These are the places where I'll keep you all up to date with all my upcoming videos and my thoughts and feelings around the Formula 1 and football weekend.